Testing the audio. Where's my... Wait. This is a test. Test 1, 2, 3. Test. 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 Check 1, 2, 3. Check. 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 Hey, that ain't too bad. All right. Well, that's gonna hurt the stream. Let's bring over chat, see if there's anybody in here. Hey, what's everyone up to? Maybe bring up some side music. Where's Pretzel? Get some tunes playing. All right. So earlier today we were working on the Xamarin Reference app, getting some stuff coded up on it, and I think we're going to continue on with that. So, okay. Let's see here. So, let's run it again and see where we are at right now. I also got to figure out how to get the, so it doesn't echo so much. Still learning Twitch, so apologize. So here we go. So we got the Xamarin Reference app open here. We've got a bunch of test environments that kind of come in the app. We've got the user profile that we worked on last time. We've got a little key here that gets us back to this screen. We've got the groups, and then we've got the project management. So I'm trying to get the UI to the point where it's up and running before I start going in and coding all these screens and wiring them up and stuff. So trying to just get the UI functional. And so by theory, we could select an endpoint, for example, and the information should be in there. This is, theoretically speaking, just stored in memory right now. What did I write? I think I wrote code to write it to disk, actually. Let's take a look at that real quick and see at the endpoint level. I honestly don't remember. I did write a file system service. Okay, you know what? This might write to disk. Let's see what happens with the endpoint service. If we were to go into the Mac endpoint service. What is this thing? It does. It writes the disk, so I remember this now. So if I were to go into my documents folder, there's a folder called, oh no, it's in the root folder. It's called Xamarin Ref App, and in here it makes the endpoint file. And this will be the endpoint configuration. So if we were to go through and edit this with, like, say for example, Visual Studio Code, which is a great text editor for editing Java JSON files. You can see here, I think, what is it? Formatting? What's it, F8 to bring it up? What is the command Petlet? And then format. There we go. And as you can see here, I formatted the document. So that's the command Petlet. And then it brings up your command window here, and you just type in format. And there's an option for format document. And that will format your JSON file, so it looks kind of nice. And you can see here, these are all just fake. But the theory is that that's being serialized down to the disk. And that's cool because that's what we're reading in. So if I wanted to change and delete all these, I could just delete all these, and the app would dynamically update the next time it launches, because obviously it reads this into memory. That means you can kind of provide your own file to all your team members, for example, and put it in this directory, and then they wouldn't have to fill in all this information. That's the goal of this. I should probably preference with, like, what is the point of this app, or then just making a reference app for Xamarin. And one of them was to build a token generator. And so what that does is it generates Azure AD tokens. And a lot of times if you're trying to go to Postman and test if your application ID is registering and working right, you want to generate those tokens real quick. And so that's what this thing does. You can put your name of the endpoint, your environment. This is a pull down list you can select in. It just gives you the ability to filter them when you have lots of endpoints, like the company I work for. That becomes an issue. Your application ID, your authority, your target audience, your redirect, and your extra parameters. Most of the time in the modern day, you don't need extra parameters, but that was an old thing that we used to have, so I would keep it in there just because of legacy when we were testing. But let's see here. So nobody in chat yet, but nobody watching. Well, it's just me, I guess, again. All right, so you can select one of these and boom. You also can delete one, which I haven't coded yet. Let's see, what do we want to kind of do next, I guess? Well, let's get these other two screens wired up so that when you select group, it goes to this one. And when you go to project management, it goes to this one. And then we can start figuring out, like, how to maybe wire up the Azure AD screen. I think that's a good checking point to kind of do here. I'm also noticing that we got some stuff open we don't need open, so let's kill that stuff because everything that's running causes this stream to die because of the CPU memory it uses. The laptop doesn't have a lot of memory in it. So, all right, well, our endpoint server seems to be working, so that's good. Let's go in then and take a look at the UI again. So let's go back into our storyboard file, check that out, and see what we can't do about it. So what I want to do is make sure we know what those other two screens on the right are, because we're going to wire those up so that when you click on one of the buttons on the top in the toolbar, that we properly route to that screen. So let's go and take a look at what that means. So I'm going to go into this main storyboard file here in Xcode, wait for the beach ball of spinning death to happen. And so you can see here we have got these buttons. I'm going to get rid of some of these sidebars for right now, just so we can have pure UI. So here's our buttons that the end user's interacting with. When we click a button right here, like the groups button, we want the left and right hand panes of the split view to change dynamically. So if we go into our split view controller here we have it. Well, this is one for groups, and then this is one for projects. And I have groups spelled wrong, which is pretty stupid. I should probably fix that real quick. And let's see what's going on with that. I have the word group spelled wrong. That is terrible. So it should be groups, graph groups, menu, view, controller. And that should be that. And then we should have project menu, view model. Oh crap, I got, 1 second, let me turn off notifications. I think I have to tell it to do not disturb between, no, let's make that 2 a.m. I think then the do not disturb is turned on. Sorry about that. All right, that should fix that problem. This is not a view model, it's a view controller. I've got this label. Controller. That's what we're looking for here. And that. And then now remember, this storyboard ID is what we're going to do for the key identifier, so we can find it in the XML file. So we want to make sure that the class name and this matches. It's not required, but let me tell you, when you're trying to troubleshoot things, this just makes far more sense. Don't make your life difficult. Don't name a bunch of stuff different if you don't have to. So, you know, once again, just in the art of trying to make your life easier. So in the groups controller, though, we don't need these three text fields. So let's also make sure that we only have, let's get rid of title and the department also. And then we're just going to basically do a constraint on this so that it'll be in the center. We do want to keep that open, though. This will be our constraint. So right now it's just got a constraint the top space. Oh, there's an image view here. Let's get rid of the image view. This will eventually list all the groups. This is more of a table view that we need, not a group view. So let's actually kill that and fix that real quick here. So we don't really need a label in here at all. What this group view should have, what's this? Why do we even have this scroll view in here? Let's get rid of it altogether. So if I have a blank view, yeah, this is actually a good demo to show off in the video. What am I thinking here? All right, let's go ahead and add ourselves in a table view. So, you know, basically we want the ability to just show off a, wow, do we even need a table view? Would this just work with the outline view? Because really we just want kind of what we have here. We don't even need grouping. We just need a simple list. Now I can't remember if source list does that. What's the NS outline view and NS scroll view? Display a list of items in a master detail interface. Source list displays sidebar. Oh yeah, nope, that's not what we want. We want outline view. Outline view coordinates with the delegate and data source. Yes, that's what we want. Oops. Move that to the wrong monitor. And so that's what we want. Let's go ahead and drag this little person in here and see if we can't take care of this. So we'll kind of want it here. I'll kind of scroll down here. And so we'll probably want the same UI as we have over here. We'll probably eventually want a button too. Let's take a look at the constraints we did here. We said top. So top and let's see, trailing and leading. Those are both 10. So trailing is going to be here. Leading is going to be in the front. Or do I have those backwards? The reason why they don't use left and right is because of languages that go and read from right to left. And so that doesn't make sense to use words right and left because of that. So instead, they have the leading space up to it and then the trailing space after it. And you can see they give you a little icon picture there. It's really kind of hard to see. Maybe I can zoom in. Oops. I don't know what I just did, but that was bad. Let me undo that. I was trying to get the zoom controls working and that did not work right. So, but anyways, you can see here the little blue icon here. It's telling us that the trailing is over on the right side right now, and then that the leading is on the left side. So we definitely want both those at, it looks like 10. The width is 200, top space is 10, and then we have a square button. All right, so let me show you how to do that. There's a little button right down here called Add New Constraints in Xcode. It's down towards the bottom. And that's what you want to click on. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see here we get a constraint editor up. And I think we said 10, 10, what's this, 20? Oh, I don't remember what we said over there now. Let's just make it all 10 right now. We'll add 3 constraints in. And we can go fix it if we need to. What was this constraint again? It was 10, 10, and 10. Okay, so we have that right. Now the problem is we, of course, don't have the button at the bottom, so we need to make one of those. Let's make a button. We'll just make a regular button for right now. We'll fix that later. Make a little picture or something on it. All right, so now what we could do is we can drag in between these. Oop, that's the copy button. That's not what we want. We'll fix it in constraints. We drag in with holding down the, what is this, control? And we want to do vertical spacing between these two controls. Now that's not going to get us enough to work, because the button needs more controls, more constraints. It's going to need a left constraint of 10 and a bottom constraint of, we'll make it 10 right now. And now you'll see that everything is happy. We're puppies, kittens, rainbows. Now the problem is this table, this outline view can grow forever in Infinity, and that's never great. So we definitely want to get rid of that happening. So how we can do that is we can just drag into itself. Oh, yeah, sorry. So over here on the left, we want to select the outline view, and our right here, this is a listing of all of our controls as we go down the tree of where they're at. We don't want to do it at the scroll view level. We want to do it at the outline view level. What we want to do is put a width constraint on itself. So if I drag into it, no, that's weird. I should have got the constraint for, and I don't see it. Try it here. Why can't I get my own? Oh, I'm at the cell level then. But I don't want that. I want it. Interesting. So these three are there. Button's got its thing going on. But the problem is I want this to have a width view. There we go, width. So I did it at the border scroll view level. And I want to make that 200. So that way they all have the same width. So that should do it now. So we've got this table. And we're only going to have one column, so we're going to delete that other column. And then we can make that column 200 also. And that will be the entire column. So we're going to have a single column. It'll just give a list of our groups. And this will eventually allow us to delete. That looks pretty good. This should give us pretty decent UI. Now, of course, we don't have this table. We should also fix that header, shouldn't we? We should do that. Cell header, where is the cell header at? Nope. We want it down here. And we could say name. And so there we go. We're going to have our header name, and then we'll have a name. These are going to be our group. Actually, let's call this group name. There we go. Group name and then a list of groups. Perfect. Now, of course, we got this outline view and button view. So we want to make sure we have that outline view in this. We don't have these hooked up as pointers. And so I was kind of talking about that earlier. And I know this is the hardest part of all of it. But what you want to do is this little button right here. This is the split. It allows you to add another editor on the screen in Xcode. I want to take the left view. I'm going to use this button right here to hide it so that you don't see the files, right? I'm going to hide the properties window over here. And this allows me to kind of just see more. And what I want to do is I want to go back to this project. And so this was the group. And this is the group menu. So what we're looking for is the group, the grass group view controller H. Okay, this is going to be the file where we're going to want to put our pointers in for the UI components that we just created. And so how we do that is we're going to have, of course, we have this outline view. Now we want to make this bigger so we make sure we have the right control selected so we can, I just drag that out so you can see it. I'm going to scroll down to find the actual outline view in itself because that's what I want to make a pointer to, not to the scroll view. And I'm going to drag and hold. And when I do that over here, it's going to ask me if I want to build an outlet, it's called, and that's a pointer. It's going to make it a public property in C#. So we're going to call this just outline view. Or we can say OV groups. That's probably a better name for it. We'll do a connection there. Now we have a button, so we're going to also do an outlet to the button, but we're not going to do an outlet. So I take that back. We're going to do an action. The action, it's kind of like action in C#. It's an event, basically. And so we want to have the event fire. So we're going to say delete button, delete pressed. And we want to fire this method whenever somebody clicks that button. And so there we go. We've got a method and we've got a pointer to a table or an outline view, which is technically speaking a type of table view. So this all looks pretty good. I'm going to hold down the Command key and hit save. And then I'm going to just close this file in Xcode. I'll keep Xcode open because it saves it from having to launch again. Now we should know here that we have now, we're going to get a new file here because of the fact that we had it spelt wrong. Remember we had the word group spelled wrong right here? So this file is going to be dead because of the fact that this was the wrong spelling of it. So when we fixed the spelling, it made a brand new file for us. I'm going to delete that file. And I'm going to take this new group one and I'm going to drag it into graph here. The graph folder, because that's where I want it. And I'm going to take the project menu and I'm going to move it over here. And that's because we had this one named view model, and we don't want a view model. We want a view controller. Okay, so that's pretty good here. And we can check to see if our code is written, because we can go into this graph groups menu view controller. That's the one we just created. And if we go into the designer file behind it, we should be able to see that, so this is interesting. We put our pointers in, but I don't see our pointers. There it is. It's the wrong file I had open. So what's this one then? Do we have like duplicates here? Because we have a, right here's our graphs groups view controller. And this is definitely the one we have because we just add this in. And then we have another one called this one. Graphs groups menu view controller. I'm not sure what this one is. This is the user for users. Is this the, of course I'm talking to myself right now. Is this the actual code? We should probably check this out and see what the main screen's called. I apologize. I should have a better naming convention than this. I wrote this on a plane, so, and on a kind of the fly without any really definition of what I was doing. So that's never a good idea if you're an agile person. You're used to having stories, right? Let's look at the storyboard file and see what the main UI files are called. So if we were to scroll over here, we'll see that these are the left side of the screen, and then over here I have the right side of the screen. So right here is the user, here's groups. So what's the name of this one? This is called Graph Groups View Controller. That can't be right, because that would mean Graphs Groups View Controller. But that's where we're seeing. Do we incidentally name both these the same? Did I accidentally do that? Not we, me. Is this also named Graphs Group? No, this is called Graphs Group Menu View Controller. But I made the pointers to the wrong file. That's what I did. Oh man, the outlet. So hey, well, this is a learning lesson. We can fix this. So if we look at it, we'll see here that this word right here, I made an outlet to the wrong file. And so we can close that though. We can fix it. So how I did that is I right clicked on the control that I wanted to fix the outlet for. So you can see here this button. I can right click on that button. And it'll bring me up all the outlets that I have. And I can delete the outlet that I have because I linked it to the wrong file. And so this is where, a little tricky. You gotta kind of keep track of things. But technically speaking, this is the menu view controller. So if we go here, this is groups menu. And that makes sense because this is a menu of groups that are available. So let's go into our code here. We're looking for the groups menu view controller, not the groups view controller. So right here we are, groups menu. This is where we should be making the outlets. So let's make this bigger again. And we're gonna look in here, find here's our outline view. We'll try to go over here. We'll say outline view, and we'll call this groups. Outline groups. Outline groups is good enough for me. And then we have the delete pressed, so we'll drag that over. This could be action. We're gonna say this is button delete pressed. And that should be our two things that we need to map into the groups menu view controller. And that's pretty good. And let's go ahead and close this. We don't want to close active code, just close the window. That will cause our C# file to get updated, and now we can just double check. And so this is a good thing while we double check because we saw that it was wrong. So if we go in here and take a look here now at our menu view controller, there's our auto-generated C# code. That's good. That's a good sign. So by theory now, we should be able to run this and debug it. And when we debug it, when we do that, we should see our groups change out. Now, of course, I don't have any group stubs or names or anything like that in there. And we could probably do that just to, generate some mocks. This might not be a bad idea. We need to build a service for that to call, and that's going to be Graph API. So we'll have to build a Graph API service. We can do that in shared code, though. There's no need to. We need to do that in the Mac project. We can do that because, you know, the reason why we have shared code is for demoing that. But I'd like to also build this in UWP and prove that you can do that shared code between Xamarin Mac and UWP. So that's why we have a DOL that's sitting up there. We should probably do all that graph code in the shared. Let's go ahead and click the user. Now if we click groups, but we're still getting the user screen over here because remember we have an outline view. So that means now we have to go look at our code, our split view controller code, to see whether or not the split view controller is possibly processing this wrong when we click the button. And that's definitely what's going on here. We can see in groups, we're only switching the 1, which would be the right-hand side of the screen. We need to switch the 0 also out because we have the split view has an array of views, and one of them's on the left, which is 0, and then the right one's on 1. So we're going to copy this in twice, and then we're going to delete this line. And we're going to make this 0, and then we need this will be our menu view controller. So we need to identify our key in there. So let's go back into our menu view controller. Let's make a public static or public const string called, and we'll make it equal to the same thing as the ID identifier that we did in the storyboard file so we can find it. And that will make it so that we don't have to have this initiated when we call it. And so then all we have to do that is here, and that should be there. So that should tell it whenever we click the group button. Oh, this is not C# standards. That should be in the next line. This is the VI plugin. There's a bug where the when you make a new line with brackets, it doesn't properly line them up with your tabs and stuff. I'll have to tell Jason about that. So on our group button, we get a message that the group button's been pressed, and we do that right over here. We have a messaging framework that anytime a button's pressed, we send messages, and we listen to that over here, and we say, okay, we definitely are changing the groups, the view controller over to the groups, and we process that. We have a little token system set up here so we don't lose reference to it. So we can see here that we have a message. This is the key message. This is our token that keeps our pointer to the function that we want to use. And then we can see here's our token, our pointer that we're going to point to this particular method that's going to run when this particular message comes in. We can see here, then this is our setup for it. We're telling the messaging service, it's a singleton. We're going to subscribe to anytime we see this type of message. Here's our key so we can find it in the collection. And then here's the method we want you to run. Well, that's a token, which is the action, when then points to a function or a method that we're running, which is this right here. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to swap out both those. That should fix this. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. By theory, we should have it to now to the point if you click groups, it should swap over to the outline view on the left for groups, and then on the right, it should have the screen that just has a single label on it. So we have this is authentication, this is groups, or excuse me, this is users, the 3 people is groups. And there we go. We can see the delete button. Now, of course, we've got a constraint problem because the groups is overtaking the delete button. That means that when I did the top pointer for the constraint, I did it to the outline view instead of the scroll view that kind of surrounds it. And so that's my fault. And we can fix that. It's all my fault because I kind of made this, so I can't really put blame on anybody else now, can I? Let's go back in Xcode and quickly fix that. Oops. That's the XML, the storyboard file. We don't want to read the XML. We want to open it with Xcode and fix the constraint. So this will be the top constraint going between the button and the outline view. Let's take a look at that and fix that real quick. So let's go here, go find it here, go to main storyboard. And if I go look at that, wait for the mouse to catch up here, scroll down here, come over here. Oop, it's right here. So this is where we have our problem. If we go to the ruler icon, we'll see that our top is going to the OV groups. And that's wrong because we needed to go to the border scroll view, not to the actual, right here, the actual outline view. So we've got this, I've made this constraint wrong. The constraint shouldn't go to the control inside of it. It should go to the parent control. So I'm going to delete that. and I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to take the delete button, drag it up to the border scroll view, and I'm going to make the vertical space there. And the vertical space should be, let's make it, I think it's 10 on the other one. I think 10 is a nice even number. Let's just make it 10. Is it 10 over here? What's it over here? Bottom space is 6. Top space is 12. 12. Well, okay. We can do 12. And what's the bottom space? The bottom space is 12 also. Let's make that 6. 6 and 12. 6 and 10. No, 6 and 12 we want. Oops. Okay. And that should be that. Let's go ahead and save this again. And that should fix our UI glitch. I'm going to close out the file. We should get our project updated here. We should be able to do a debug real quick. And now all the magic sauce should be there. And so this should get us a yet another fix-in for our UI here. So if we go to users, that looks great. Groups, now our delete button's properly there. We're getting a list of group names, which we haven't populated yet. We got to fix this eventually over here. Now, if we come over to project management, we'll see here that that's also not swapping out the views. So we have got one more bug to fix. But now if we look here, we've got our environments. These are our endpoints that you can select for generating tokens. We got our user profile, which we're going to swap out and fix. We got our groups, which is going to give us group names. And then we're going to have our project management, which is going to give us a list of SharePoint lists. I think is what we're going to do there. So I think what we're going to have is a list of SharePoint lists over here. And then when you come over here, if you click on one of those lists, you'll be able to see the list data, and you can then kind of tap on it and maybe get a record up. I think that's a pretty good demo. That's giving us graph. That'll give us a demo of, this is all Azure AD. So this would be MSAL. We'll probably end up putting that in for our authentication library. This will be for user profile service, it's called, which is another graph demo. This will be for groups, which is a type of graph demo, and this would be for sites, the sites API. And I think that's a pretty well-rounded demo of Xamarin Mac and talking to the graph API and talking to the modern authentication experience with MSAL. And so, I mean, when you're looking for a Xamarin reference app, I don't think there's much more that you can get into than that. So let's go and fix the project. So we can, I want to get all the UI fixed before we start going up and wiring up functionality. So that way we can say as a skeleton, this thing works. There's nothing worse than having your UI just partially busted. Not a fan of that. So let's go in here and just take a look here. And I wonder in the stream here, I'm realizing that I don't know if I have all this stuff tagged right. Or maybe nobody's just Xamarin Mac So I don't have this properly set up. Xamarin Science and Technology, I guess. And Programming. And Xamarin. Sorry, I'm setting up the video. I just realized that no one's probably watching this because I don't have... I don't have any of the tagging and stuff set up, so nobody will be able to find it. There we go. I categorize under Science and Technology. We have it set up with some tags for coding, and that's good. Well, maybe people will watch it now. Well, if not, that's still fine. I have to do this either way, so whether people watch it or not, I'm trying to get this thing just done. So let's go into our main storyboard file. And take a look here. So the next thing I was talking about working on was getting this project view fixed. So let's take a look and see what this is here. So this is graph project menu view controller. That's right. And that's right. So the next issue we'd have is the UI. We kind of wanted to match the group here because we said we're going to do a list of SharePoint lists. Maybe we'll want it though where it's a SharePoint list and description. Yeah, that's a lot of text though. Let's just make it the SharePoint list. So I think because of that, we can just toast this entire UI. Let's get rid of it. We're almost kind of looking for a copy of this. And so you can do that. You can literally copy stuff from one view controller and paste it into the other. And just kind of move it around and it should just be there. Now, of course, I like to use the editor option to update frames. Now, probably what happened was the constraints didn't come in. Well, some of them did. So that's interesting. We're kind of halfway there, really, if we look at it. What did we miss? Group name is there. So this wouldn't be group name. This would be called list name. So if we go into here, oh, wow. That's really not great. Trying to rename that is not awesome. Oh, I had it there for a second. Let's just do that. And that's a good call. Oh, that's my bad. All right. Ooh, that's going to be painful to write. Oh, shoot. I just thought about that. That's not going to be fun to write, but we'll fix it. I mean, that's the whole point of coding, right? So let's get some constraints put in here. We know that we're going to want 10 at the top, 10 on the left, 10 on the right, and add the 3 constraints in. That should make him a little bit happier. Let's go here. We can see that we only have the top space, which is 12, but we should also have a side and a bottom. And so we want 10 on the side and on the bottom. I think the other one had 6. And boom, there we go. UI's happy. Now we do have a weird issue here where we have site name and then we have the table view cell. And inside of there we have a label. And the text is just kind of freaking out. There we go. Oh, no, we didn't want to delete the text field. Text field should be in there. What is going on here? Why do we have a glitch? It's no doubt because I couldn't paste it. But let's see, group name. That's right. Why is this acting all goofy? We look here, we got the same layout in both. Right, we got a text label. Here we got a text cell. I wonder if we just update frames if it'll fix it. Xcode's the first thing you learn is to like update frames. If the Xcode GUI just starts to go crazy on you and you're like, hey, this doesn't seem like it'd be right. And you're like, well, I'm pretty smart. I think it's right. Then update frames because there's a good chance it just did not update for some reason. Well, I think this is close enough. Let's try to run this and see what happens. So let's go through and make sure these two are right. Those both look right. And this will be eventually a UI that is right here. And this will be much bigger, but for right now, I think that that's okay. And I think we have a user interface I like. So let's go ahead and close this out. I'm going to just close the file itself. And that's the last thing we have to do is fix the single line of code that's calling right here. So we can see here, this is for SharePoint, our graph demo. And we want this to be multiple lines because we want it to call both the left and right hand side of the screen. So right now we're only swapping the left. Let's also swap with the right. So we want to make that 0, but now the problem is we need to fix it. We need an identifier inside of that menu that we created. So right here, this graph project menu, and let's just do public const string this, and we want to equal to the name of the class because that's what we did in the storyboard file, so we can find it. And I kind of like my layout of my files be like that. That looks pretty good. let's see here. We've got 0 for, so this is wrong. This should be the graph view controller for the project menu. And that should be it. Technically speaking, our split view controller should be done. We've got messaging in here, which is looking pretty great. So when somebody clicks a message on or a button on the toolbar, which is inside of the title bar at the top, we basically send the message. Split view listens to that message, swaps out the UI based on that. We've got 2 little helper methods we have here that does that for us. All pretty easy code here. Nothing really super complicated. Let's run this thing. Life could be good. Let's see what's going on. And man, big deal with that AOT that I reset earlier. The header compiling. Ooh, man. AOT was bombing out my CPU when building, and it would drop the stream, and now having that turned off. Night and day on the Mac. All right, let's see here. So we've got user profile. We've got groups. This should get us lists. There's our site name. Perfect. We're now swapping out the UI as we need to when we click our buttons at the top. This is wonderful. This is exactly what we're looking for our UI. So that part's done. I think that we could say that we could sign off at least that this UI is looking pretty good. I was thinking about fixing this here, but you know what? I think I'm going to wait until I have real data moving forward. Because, you know, we're so close that I could probably just start getting some authentication code in here and figuring that out. And that's probably the next logical step, is just getting some authentication code in. So let's take a look here. I do have some authentication code that I've previously used in a previous life. So I've kind of got a bunch of stuff set up here for that. I'm not 100% confident. So this is all ADL instead of MSAL. Should we start with that? I think we should. The other question I had is I wonder if you can run both MSAL and ADL at the same time. That'd be really interesting. And make an interface so you can swap between the 2 of them. Huh. Let's start with ADL. And then we'll see if we can do that. And maybe we'll make an interface that we can swap between these. And so we should have an interface already here. Authentication service. So, and then we're going to make this one of these anytime we make it. Now, the problem is we want to be able to swap the implementation out at runtime. Normally we'd have some like Unity sitting in here doing that for us. But do we really want all the pain of bringing Unity in? It's not really pain, but it's pretty heavy for a single service right now, and I don't want to get this demo too complicated into the point where we're in super complicated land. We could make in our app delegate, we could make a pointer to it that's a static. And I know that's a really popular pattern that people like to use over in the native land. I'm not a huge fan of having the app delegate really huge, though. I think that's a silly thing to do. So I'm kind of moving against that. All these will need access to it, though. Well, we could just make inside of here the authentication just a concrete factory that implements it, and then we could swap out our factory as needed. Yeah. Let's just do that. We're just thinking on the fly here. I'm not sure if this is a great idea, but let's just say that we have authentication factory. And we're just going to build a public static. Get rid of this constructor and say, hey, I'm looking for a public, I'm looking for a Azure Authentication Service. Get Authentication Service. That looks good to me. And why is this mad? Oh, we gotta make this static, of course. And let's say return new ADL Authentication Service. And we need to pass it that. Let's just go null for right now. until we can figure out what that is. And it looks like we're going to need a iPlatform something. What do we need here? Azure Platform Parameters. I remember this a little bit. So we're going to make that inside of our iOS project here. So we're going to make a new file, the type of interface, and it's going to be a, not interface, we're going to make a class. We have to implement that. And so we need to say that this is of type Azure Platform Parameters. And then let's just implement that interface and we'll figure out what we have to do here. So we have to get platform parameters. Oh boy. No hints on this. What's one of these things? Go decoration. What's it want? Come on, really? It's empties? Oh, that's the worst type, right? We should maybe look at the Googles and go to the ADL GitHub stuff. So ADL GitHub. Let's go to ADL's GitHub and take a look at this. What does it really want in a platform parameter? Let's go look to wiki. See what the wiki says. Platform parameters. Here we go. So it's gonna want some. What does it want for platform parameters? .NET Core, platform behavior, always, refresh, select account. Okay, so what do we need to build on one of these? We're not mobile, we're native. On iOS, you need this, but we're not iOS, we're Mac. We're not Windows Universal either, we're Mac. Okay, well, there's a lot of stuff it's talking about, all these other stuff, except for Mac. On Android, we have mobile. If you use the prompt, never. I don't care about that. Android, iOS, I don't care about that. Controlling interactivity with the user with the platform parameters. All right, so this class, which is different depending on all platforms, uses control the interaction of ADL.NET with the user and platform supporting it with the broker. Well, we don't have broker on Mac, so that's not a problem here. Acquiring tokens interactively, and then we have the platform parameters. But I'm looking here, I just don't see anything. Looks like there's a prompt behavior. And we can just do auto. But I think that's the default behavior. Let's do ADL GitHub Mac. Let's do ADL Xamarin Mac GitHub example. This is how we code, people. We look for a example with basic. That's what I'm looking for. And Tygo, I don't know who you are, but thank you if this works. Let's see here. And we want, of course, this is all XAML, so this is none of this is Mac. So this is the number one problem with programming Mac, is that every example almost is always wrong, right? It's just that's what ends up going on, is that it's mobile. And I can tell you right now, mobile, one of the biggest problems with mobile is that it requires the broker pattern. At least at work, that's what we do. So you can't even compare it. Yeah, these are all for mobile and UWP. None of it's for Xamarin Mac. Oh boy. We don't want forms. Let's just do Xamarin Mac. ADL Xamarin Mac. See if we have, that's a forms, that's a forms, that's a forms, forms. Let's do Xamarin.Mac. Maybe that'll help. Forms. That is garbage. That none of this is going to help us with our Mac application. Let me take a look at what. All right. Well, that documentation is not really helping us all that great. Let's take a look here and see if we can find if there is an implementation. Go to Declaration, and so that would be inside of the Microsoft Identity Client Model Active Directory. Is there an actual platform parameters object? There is. And what does it have? Prompt behavior, custom web UI. Well, holy cats. Let's just return a new platform parameter object then. Return new platform parameter. And let's see what it requires. It wants a prompt behavior dot auto, and then a UI custom web. Oh, I don't know what that is. I custom web UI. Let's Google that. I custom web UI. What's this thing? Interface in MSAL. I don't. I client base, mandatory parameters. With parent activity or window. Be an interactive, so occur with window. It's parent UI. So we could definitely get a pointer to the window. That's not hard to do. And on Mac, it's in its window. Okay, well, we could do that. And where is... So, I mean, if that's what it's looking for, we absolutely can provide that. That's not hard to do. This is the MSAL, right? Microsoft Authentication Library, not the ADO. Let's do ADO. See if there's any difference in this. Here we go. Here we go. Somebody wrote an article for this. Oh, sir, thank you very much for writing this. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Let's see here. So authentication context, got that. Require a token, got our URI. Yep, platform parameters, auto. I don't think that works because I still think you have to send it you still have to give it the, here we go. Here we go. He's got an implementation. And he's saying that you have to... Oh, no, we don't want to build our own web view. That's terrible. Why would we do that? There's got to be a common web view in here. Let's take a look and see if maybe there's just an implementation for it. So let's go I custom web UI. So let's go find the declaration of this. This is, I literally garbage dump dive for implementations all the time on this. So here we go. We've got that. Let's go see if there is a if there is basically a version of this, a full version. So extensibility is what namespace it's in. And so what it needs, it looks like this interface only has one. Acquire authorization token code async with a URI and a redirect. Mythical wide delegate. Let's see here. Returns the STS authorization endpoint. So that's the first part of the two parts of the OAuth authentication. So that's pretty interesting. But what we're looking to see is there an implementation of this? Yeah, see, so we're in the DOL. We don't have the source code, so it's not going to tell us if there's an implementation for this. we'd have to go dive it out. Is there a web UI? I don't see a web UI in here at all. Back to the Googles. Mac OS X, Mac OS. What does it say for Object-C? I do have code where I did this in Object-C. But it was really basic. I mean, it was really easy. And tokens. We don't need broker. And we know we have to do this. And all this totally makes sense. I wonder if it just pops up automatically because it's Mac OS X. Let's see if that's even required. Does the constructor have multiple constructors? It only has one. Huh. Well, this is really interesting. We've got an issue here where I'm not really sure how to make one of these I custom blended example Mac OS X. Let's see if anybody's done this already. That's right back where we were talking about here, where I was saying this is how we do it. So yep. So far, I mean, I already know all this stuff, but where do we get this whole specify optional parameters in MSAL.net? No, but that's MSAL, not Yeah, this is all documentation for MSAL. Does it make sense to even then the UI is important because it's interactive. Acquire Token Interactive has one special option with parent activity or window is different type depending on which platform. Remarks on .NET is UI and this window on Mac in a pointer to a window on Windows. We're not gonna do interactive. We're gonna do silent so we can do token caching and let it figure itself out. That was the goal. Right here with custom web UI. A web UI is a mechanical evoked on a browser. This is a way to provide implementation for most platforms, or you might want to host it yourself. Crap. Platforms that aren't explicitly covered by OSL, for example, Blazor, Unity, and Mono on desktop. That's us. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to be doing that. You start URL, which needs to display in the browser so that you can end the user match item. To authentication finished, your app needs to pass back the end URL, which is contained. Monitor browser redirected until it's hit. Have it with a custom UI extension ability point. You can also let the user go through the implement the custom interface. For more information, see this website. That's the website we want. This is the code we looked at earlier. Okay, well, interface. MSL provides a embedded web view for Windows and Mac, but there are other scenarios not yet supported. We are a Mac. If they support on, I wonder if it means that object C. And the problem is that it's only object C. I mean, MSAL provides an embedded web view for Windows and Mac. Well, that's MSAL.net, not ADL.net, which is what we're on right now. Is this just enough stuff to just say that we should be looking at you doing this in MSAL instead of ADL and just kick out the old and go in with the new? It's a good concept here. Well, let's just build one of these things and see how far we can get. Custom web UI. Yes. And, let's see here. And so we need a new one. But it's a task async, so it's going to be pissed on that. Yeah. That'll get us by until we can figure out what's going on here. So we need it. They're gonna pass in an authorization and a redirect, which totally makes sense because that's what the OAuth is going to want. And then it's up to us to get the authorization code, which would be going to the auth source and rendering it. There's got to be an example of how to do this on the internet. You shouldn't have to write this yourself. This seems like it's just a big old waste of time. I should ping my friend at Microsoft and ask them about this. They literally work on this project. Yep, at a glance. Yep. How to use your custom. Here's an example. Oh, this may make me want to cry though. Let's see here. Close Windows successfully. HTML. Ugh. Selenium Core async. Yeah, this is a lot of work. It just doesn't make any sense. It should never be this much work. So what if we go to MSAL? What if we just say no to ADL? Once again, this is all Xamarin Forms. Oh, Jenny, don't put your client ID in. That's bad, right? That's a public one. I've got a lot of scopes, so we'd have to put scopes in V2. So public client builder with our app ID, with the redirect. That's actually pretty smart. This would be the to get token caching working, but that's only with iOS. It doesn't work like that in Mac OS X because I already talked to her about that. And there's no example. This is a example forms app. Yeah, that's not what we're looking for though. I'm looking for a full Mac example. I don't think one exists. I do not think one exists because this is all Xamarin Forms, Xamarin Forms, Xamarin Forms. Oh, this is interesting. Here's somebody saying, hey, Microsoft Identity Client. macOS is a niche market. Ugh. Well, I don't think that that's it. Let's see what this is. Yeah, this is the same example we were just looking at. But I mean, we could take a look at this because I mean, this is. I mean, this is a pretty good code we have here. She goes the graphic, it's the me API, which would get your user information back. Smart demo. Very smart demo. Oh, Jean-Marc. Yeah, I met him at Build last year. Interesting. I didn't realize he was a coder. I thought he was in management. I apologize. I did not realize that. Interesting. All right. Well, I think we should totally ignore this and go to maybe to the point where we're just doing MSAL. Let's try MSAL based on Jenny's example here. And so her example is pretty easy. If you look here, they have a CS project. I'm pretty sure they're just including MSAL. Yep. So you can see here they have MSAL, JSON, and then forms. This is a super old version of forms. Gross. Async usage analyzer. Didn't know what they're using that for. Let's just try to do MSAL real quick here and see what happens. So latest version. Let's go to MSAL. MSA GitHub MSAL.net. There we go. What's the latest version on here? 4.8.2. Pipeline's failing though. Desktop applications, Universe Core, and Core. It supports Mono Android and Mac version 2. So it supports, hey, it says Mac version 2 here. All right, that's what we are. We're technically speaking, I think version 3. But I think it might work. All right. So let's go here and find some documentation. Let's go to the wiki and see if they have anything about Mac OS X. Here's iOS, Android, custom browser. We don't want the custom browser. And there are a lot of people very pushy. Don't want the custom browsers. We're lazy. We want the goodness with no custom browser. Can we get that? Let's search for Mac. Here we go. Add support for Xamarin Easier Migration. Because that was 2 versions. That was many versions ago. Well, that Not a lot of documentation here on Mac OS X. Maybe we can help. Maybe we can help. Maybe we can get something working and then send it over to them to help document, because that's what we should do. We should be good citizens when we can. So, all right, well, I think we have this semi-example here, and I think we can kind of build from their example. So let's start with the core basics of getting some NuGets working. So let's go out and say, well, we know that our packages here, we're not going to do ADL anymore. So we got client Active Directory here. We're going to remove that, and we're going to look for MSAL instead. Let's get MSAL going here. Oh boy. Are you feeling the love? I'm feeling the love. For it too. Add package. We're going crazy bonkers here. Let's watch package manager, see what's going on here. Package manager says it's running. It's thinking about it. It's actually that's pretty fast. That license pop-up screen though, painfully slow to get that thing up. All right, hey, there we are. We got MSAL that fast. All right, so that gets us into Mac. We should probably also do it up here, but then that's going to blow our authentication service to crap. And that's going to push down this also. How many things require this to all work? Let's keep cache token. Let's come with this person out. Let's see if we can dump. Let's select all and toggle line comments, and that will get rid of that class. And let's save that. I'm not sure we need all this just yet. Let's see if we can get rid of the ADA library here and still get this to compile with a with MSAL. So let's go manage NuGet package, get the MSAL library here also. And technically speaking, I think most of this stuff should be magic sauce. I mean, it should be like, hey, just about all this is there. And I know that the identity model, like this framework, a good portion of MSAL and ADL are shared code. I mean, it's literally the same library. It's like shared code. If you go and look at the code for Azure AD, for example, let's go to for .NET though. Microsoft Authentication Library for .NET. If you go to source, you're going to find that client and client. Maybe they changed this out now. It used to be for a while there where the objects were really shared between it. And there was a spot where you'd go in it and you'd see the so right here is the agent for NS window. Oh, there's a Mac UI factory. Look at this, guys. Awesome. So they are doing this. Hey, they got... All right. This is a better place to be, it looks like. When we look at the Mac implementation already, this looks good. Looks like they have a web embedded UI that's already doing a good portion of the stuff. Yep. See, this is what we were going to have to do. So they've already... they're running this on main thread. They're going to get a window controller. Oh, we might have been able to borrow this and just did it through this, but let's go with the new. Out with the old, in with the new. All right, let's go back to this and see what we can't get doing. So and tokens. All right, well, the cache token person's not happy either. All right, well, let's just toggle this also until we can get this figured out. That's fine. All this stuff is gone. I may not need all this. Let's just toggle all this stuff and see if we can get MSAL working without it. Cache tokens. I think we can kill this thing altogether. I don't think we need this or this. So let's get rid of both these files and then just follow Jenny's example and see how far we can get. All right, let's kill. Then in the ADO directory, we had these two things we created. We made a we made this object, which I don't think we need anymore. Delete. And we don't need that anymore either. Let's delete that. So let's look at the core of her implementation. So her implementation, we go to app.cs. They just make a iPublic client application. And then in here, they make that equal to a public client application builder. Well, that's what our service should do. Is make one of these. Okay, well, we could do that. So we have an ADO. Let's make an MSAL authentication service new file. We'll make it MSAL authentication service. And inside of there, we want to make and this should be hopefully part of identity. Perfect. Okay. So far, so good. And let's see what we got here. What does her code example do? She then on construct makes a new one with the client ID, which we'd have to pass as part of an endpoint, with a redirect, which we get in the endpoint, with an iOS security keychain group. Well, that's only for iOS, which we wouldn't do here. And then it builds. Okay. My only problem with that is client ID can change. Well, actually, it's usually not the client ID changes. It's the authority. Or not the authority, the resource you're looking for, right? But then we're going to scopes. Yeah, but that's still a claim inside of there. That doesn't necessarily do the same justice here either. Huh. Well, we'll just follow the example that we have so far and see how far we get. So we're going to need a new thing on the endpoint called scope. It's an array of strings that tells us the scope. So that means our endpoint here we're going to need add something called array of strings, public string scopes. And that's something that we'll have to know about. Endpoint service will have to provide one of these scopes. And Jenny's was the get graph user read in her example. So we can just borrow this, and I can go to the graph website and come paste a much larger set of scopes. But for right now, this is fine. And this would be this because it's an array. So we would say something like that. All right, wait, do I have it backwards? No. There we go. No, why is it mad? String does not contain addition. Should be that, shouldn't it? Oh. I don't think you should have to do either of this. We're saying the scopes equals. String. There. Duh. All right, let's add this for all of our other samples. hate cut and pasting, but just right now, we'll have to blow away our file 2 on disk because we have all this cached on disk. And since the disk file's already been created, this would be the problem. All right, so we have scope as an array. That's currently set to user read. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. So then we have a Mac endpoint service that kind of converts these over to the way that the Mac likes to see them. And so we have to also do it here. So we'd have to say the same thing, public string, an array called scopes, get and set. And then we have a mapper that does the mapping of these fields right here. So we just say scopes. And point dot scopes, and then we do the same thing here. It says scopes equals this dot scopes. And that would fix those two. That's our two factory methods, or our two kind of factory methods. They're more adapters than they are factories. All right, so that fixed our two adapters that go through and convert over as we need to. Scopes would add it into this. That's good. The Mac endpoint, we don't necessarily care about that because this just gets it from disk. We would have to change the UI though. If you make a new one of these that you could add the scope in, well, crap. Our UI is going to have to change because our UI won't work because we don't give them scope. We could reuse extra parameters for scope though because it's really not used anymore, I don't think. One thing at a step. One step at a time. What's I think I'm thinking too far ahead of myself, and then I'm going to get confused on what to do next. So we're going to just try to hard code and get something authenticating working. If we can get something hard code authenticated working, then we can start figuring out like how to fix the UI for it. So that looks good there. So I think we have scope clearly defined in an endpoint. You know, whether or not that works or not is irrelevant. We'll fix that later. And so we know we have a username we don't care about. We don't care about that either. The redirect we'll have from an endpoint. Yeah, I have a problem with this right here where we're creating it and we're mapping it to the, no, let's just do it. So we're going to say MSAL. Actually, I wonder if this should just be a singleton. Should this just be a singleton? And then we can lazy load this in. I'm feeling kind of lazy. I like lazy loading. Wrong class. We can borrow our singleton pattern. We'll make this a singleton until we can prove that we don't need to be a singleton. And how do we do that? Well, there's a pattern for this. This is the pattern. That's the pattern. So in C#, this will make a MSAL service. And then what we need to do here, though, is we have to say that, oh yeah, because we won't have a parameter that we can pass in. That's the only problem. We almost can't do a singleton. We almost have to do a factory for this. Because if you think about it, the problem with the singleton pattern in C# is that really it should be parameterless. What we could do is we can make a public static class and make this a factory. Let's make this a factory. Actually, we'd want to make this a service, have the service make the factory. Once again, I'm over complicating my design here. Let's start with the core basics. Let's get this working and then we'll refactor it to whatever pattern we need to fit in. I'm overthinking this again. And is there anybody in chat? Nobody in chat. Still streaming by myself here. Well, that's fine. So we need to make a new one of these. we have to pass it in some stuff. What's it care about? It cares about a builder with a client ID, a redirect, and a build option. Well, these would all be based on, technically speaking, the these would be based on the stuff that's passed in part of an endpoint. Private read only. See, I just hate have to make a new service every single time. Well, once again, it's not worth it. Get it working. We'll refactor it out as we need to. And maybe I'll ping Jenny on this because I'm curious about this. It would say PCA equals. I don't like that name, variable name either. Public equals public client application. I really don't like that either. I can't believe they named that object that. And this would be, so it needs, this would be endpoint client ID. What's it, we call it application ID in here. And then this is a little bit more complicated because that's something we call the bundle ID. But in Android, it's called a package name. I need it universal. Application ID is already used for, that's what I call a client ID. Let's just fix it. I'll say client ID is that and application ID is the bundle ID. So we'll say that this is going to be mapping to the MSAL client ID. This could be mapping to the either an endpoint or a package name if it's Android or whatever platform it is. So we gotta fix this over Mac endpoint too. We have to add that in. So we're gonna have a client ID also. And we can fix that, and then we're definitely going to change some code here. Crap. And all right, well that fixes that too. So we're going to definitely say that this is going to be the name of the application or whatever your bundle ID is, and this is definitely going to be the app ID that's registered in Azure or the client ID there. So all right. And so then this would be the endpoint. Now they're saying use client ID there, her example, right? Maybe I keep it like that. Maybe I say that the application ID is the Azure application ID and the client ID too. But that's confusing because in the Azure Dev Portal, I'm pretty sure that's called client ID. Let me look at the Azure Dev Portal. Let's go to app registration. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see this in Azure portal. Yeah, I don't really want to show that off either. Yeah, so they call it application ID, and sometimes they call it client ID. So that's really confusing because they literally have it in the UI where it's set to application and it has in parentheses client. But in her example, she's calling it a client ID. Let's call it client ID. Let's call this something else, though. I don't think that client ID is the right name for it either. Application ID is going to be too confusing because then you're not going to be sure. Platform application ID. That's what we'll call it. For the win, platform seems great. Mac endpoint. We'll change the application up to that. And then we need to change those 2 lines. And then we'll have to fix it here also. So then we'll know that that platform application ID will be the package name or the that. So then it'll be that instead. And then that will work. That will work. Okay. That by theory should work. I don't think we need this line. Let's do it without iOS keychain because this is a .NET core. We shouldn't be having to put iOS implementations in. So we're gonna say, hey, we have this client ID. We may be changing the services we need via scope, but our client ID should be the registration in Azure for this app, and then of course the bundle ID will be at the application level or the package name. So this is, I feel more comfortable with this so far, like this. So passing an endpoint in, I think we can say that we can create one of these. Now, of course, our UI is kind of busted. We need to add another name in for that. I don't think we have to set we can inject this in through Xamarin Essentials. That's a good point. Can we get Xamarin Essentials in here? Xamarin Essentials. There we are. Let's get Xamarin Essentials in. If Xamarin Essentials works in Mac, they have the ability to do that. And then we can just pull that. When we make endpoints, we'll just simply say that you never set one of these. It's read-only, and it returns a Xamarin Essentials package name. And then we'll never have to set it. That's the way to do this. And let's go into packages here and add Xamarin Essentials here too. Let's also make sure that it does support Mac. What's Visual Studio complaining about? Yeah, it's agree to the license. Yep, we're going to go there and GitHub and take a look here. Just want to make sure that this is supported. And let's go to code. Where's the code at? Xamarin Essentials. And this is the app info. And we have Tizen, shared, WPF, iOS, tvOS, watchOS. No macOS? If iOS or tvOS show UI application. Come on, guys. Really? NS bundle, main bundle, object for dictionary key. And the key is what that they're passing in. CF bundle identifier. That's right. I'm not sure if this is going to work on Mac with Xamarin Essentials, but let's try it, see what happens. we'd find it out pretty quickly, actually, because if we went to we don't even need that in Endpoint, technically speaking. We just pull it from the app. We won't even let them set it, right? Well, we probably should. You may want to sneak in. But would it work? Would it pull the bundle ID out and see that? Not sure. This is what we're looking for right here. So that's what they're calling it. They're calling it package name. That's what we should call it. Let's call it package name. Ooh, boy. Getting late when we're making 100 changes here. Package name. Package name, package name. Why is it mad? Oh, yeah, we wouldn't calculate it here. We would... Honestly, yeah, we would never really calculate it. We would never have to copy it because here you would never set it. Here you would always get it too. It should be read-only no matter what. We should never be setting it. Let's just start with that. Let's just say that package name you can't set. We'll make a rule. It's got to come from the actual package itself. And then essentials app info package name. So we're going to say that no matter what, that just automatically comes. You don't even have to set it. So then we're back to where we only need scopes in our endpoint. That's the only thing that's missing in our current UI. I feel more comfortable with this now. Okay. And so this is just endpoint package name. There we go. All right, our builder now works. Ooh, wow, that's a lot to get our builder working. Let's go back here and take a look at the example here, and that's it. So I make a builder, and then it's actually not until when they go call code to get a token that they have some issues here. So then what they're doing here, this is just like ADL. You have authentication result, and then they're getting an account. And so what I think they're doing is see whether or not you already logged in here. So that seems weird to me because they're saying go get an account. Oh wait, this totally makes sense. Does this just get the access code? And then what comes back is you then go to get your token based on the access code and scope. Because this would say, okay, here's your access code. Here's the scope we're trying to apply for. See whether or not we can get it or not. That kind of makes sense. The problem is that you almost have to implement this at the platform level because of this right here. Because this is unique to forms. I'm gonna guess each platform you'd have to kind of give it your implementation. So this almost needs to be a static thing that just returns a public application. And then each platform you would have an implementation of it. You could do it as, I guess, as a service, once as an interface where you could pass it in, and then you can run this in shared code, but I'm not sure if the value is really there at this point in time. Well, it'd always be there. What am I thinking? It'd always be there. It's just a lot to refactor. Now I'm just starting to think that we should probably just move this over and have this done in the Mac application and then refactor it out when it's working, because she's the example we're seeing is very specific to forms, and I'm starting to believe that each native platform is going to be a little bit different and trickier. All right, well, let's just do this then. Let's just copy this authentication service instead. And say that we're going to make a authentication service down here. We'll copy this implementation. But we'll make it a Mac endpoint because Mac endpoints are smarter, because they have Mac things about them. We could fix this with using that. And then this would be a Mac endpoint, not a regular endpoint. This would also be a Mac endpoint. Then we could literally have an authenticate method, right? That gives back something. So let's go look at, actually, let's do this. Let's just bring these so that they're side by side so we don't have to do this. We can take our code window out here, throw it off to the side, and now we can see both and see what's going on here. So sign in really just gives a result though. And then based on that result, you can pull the information out of the auth result. So let's do this. Let's give the ability to with the endpoint though, how our configuration works is that you have the thing you're trying to go to. I think the biggest thing that we need is we need a yeah, see there's extra parameters right there. But where's the resource you're trying to get access to? With ADFS authority. What's our authority at? 1 second here. I've got a OneNote file with this in it. So the authority that we'll be using is just the common authority. I have a redirect. We have an application ID. We don't care about the tenant. Well, we do care about the tenant, but the authority is just going to be this, and it, we can hard code that into the endpoint. The bundle we know about. Redirects, we have a couple different, I think I know which one we want to use there. Yeah, Quantus, it doesn't need that. So let's I'm gonna tweak this code a little bit, and so we're gonna say with authority, and this is gonna be endpoint authority. Because we have an authority, we have a redirect. Although, in this world, we don't really need to redirect in the endpoint because we calculate it dynamically. Based on the package name. Now, in this world, you don't need the Mac endpoint redirect option. because we calculate it and it's pretty much a waste to put in when we calculate it. Well, let's leave it calculate right now. We could take that out of the UI and we can use that for scope. That way we don't have to put another text box in. That may be a good way to handle this. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. So our endpoint, we're going to pass a Mac endpoint in when you need the authentication service. This is what you're trying to authenticate against. We'll go through, make our public client application, which I still don't like the name of that. I mean, I think that's a dumb name. What's renamed that? Rename. We're gonna call it a MSAL client application. I'll make that better. It's pretty obvious what we're doing here then. We're saying that this is the MSAL client application. I feel better about that now. All right. And we're saying that there's an ability to get a token. Okay. So let's just say we want to get a token. Public client token. Let's see. If we were to say all right. So we're kind of going into the Ada library here. The reason why is I want to see what is inside of the authentication result. The authentication result should have a an iUser. What is an iUser? Isn't it just a user? Is there an iUser in here? Yeah, here we go. We have a display ID, a name, an identity. That's not good enough though. We want a cache token. That's what we really want. So when we say authentication result, we have an access token, which is the token that we get back. So we really want to return the whole authentication result because it's got all the goodness inside of it that we care about. The unique ID, the user, the access code or token, you know, everything that we need really. And I'm pretty sure that, yes, she's using the access token in her example. All right. So we want to return one of these. This is authentication results. That's what our method should do. So we should basically have a public authentication result. And we're going to say authenticate. So let's say authentication result equals null, and then return result. Yeah, we passed, and this also probably needs to be tasks. So be task with this because we're gonna do some async stuff. We know that's gonna happen. Let's put async in front of it. Let's just be honest with ourselves. We know that that's eventually going to happen, right? Let's try. And MSAL, what do we got? UI required exception EX. And we'll handle that. Okay. So first thing we're going to try to do, it looks like, is we need to get a an I enumerable of I count counts equals null also. And we're gonna need collection from namespace. Alright, that should get that fixed. Alright. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say count equals await. And we have this already. This is our Mac application. So we're gonna say Mac application dot get accounts async. Does this throw an exception of some sorts? Go to declaration. What kind of exception does this throw? Let's find this in Eagle's library code. MSAL GitHub .NET. I should just probably pull this repo down so I can just search the code. What namespace is this in? This is in iClient application based. iClient application base. Yeah, I do remember this from last time searching this thing. Let's find a file and then search for this is iClient application base. Oh boy. This is where it gets interesting, folks. That's not it. I don't see it there either. Oh, I'm supposed to be checking if there's anybody on the stream. Go back to Twitch. There's nobody here. All right. We're gonna say no for right now. All right, so let's see here. If we get an account back, then we need to get the actual account itself that we're going to use. So we're going to try to get a first or singular default. So we're going to say iCount equals. We can just say var for that though. Var count equals account first or default. Actually, why would we? Does it use the accounts for anything else? I don't see it using it. Why won't you just pull it from here from the get-go? Well, not sure. All right, well, let's just, that's system link that we need. Okay, so then once we have that, what we'd be needing to do is get the auth results. So then we'd say result equals await, and we want our MSAL client application acquire token async, but we want the silent type. And then we would say endpoint.scope, and we would want the first account. So that would be our account. And why does that? Oh, because it requires an. Wait. what does this return? Depreciated. Use acquire token silent instead. Wait, what? What? Saying that this is use acquire token silent instead. That's a silly pattern change. And then I think this is what it's saying. It's saying execute async instead. Be kind of curious of why that is, why they're requiring that change. And so what would happen is that if the async, so if this blows, right, and the reason why this would die is because you don't have a token in the cache, the token cache. We would basically die here. You'd catch a couple different exceptions. This is how it used to work in ADL. So here they're saying if there's UI required, then go get it with an interactive. But I've never seen this. All right, well, let's try this. Let's see. So this is UI exception, we call that. Because we know that that's a UI required exception. So let's say if that's the case, well, let's console right line that. $sign UI exception message. Kind of want to know about that. And also let's just put that we're basically going to only pound def this if we're in debug. Throw it to the console. Otherwise, let's not do that. So that guarantees that security guys are really upset with us because of the fact we're writing a bunch of crap to the console. But hey, if you're debugging on your local machine, yeah, I want to read that. I want to see what the heck's going on. I want to figure out why this thing's not working. I think that's a happy medium. Let's see here. So we're then going to do another try catch. We're not really sure what's going on here. And we're going to catch in a stead is a standard exception EX. And this is going to be the cold turkey. So we'll grab 3 lines here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, you can paste that. And I'm going to say this is EX though instead. And then let's also get the stack trace. EX.stack trace, because a lot of times we're going to want to figure that out. Make sure that this is also a little more tabbed over because we're not monsters. All right, what we need to do here is see whether or not we can get an auth result now with this interactive token. So we're going to say auth results, going to try to, we have it called result. Result instead equals a, same thing, so we're going to call our MSAL client application dot acquire token interactively. Interactive with the endpoint scope, and then they also have with parent and so we could say this would be ns application dot ns, is it window? I think it's current window. No. NSApplication.window. What do we have here? We have window. Oh no, it's NSApplication dot. We got to get the current implementation. Current NSApplication dot instance. Where's the current NS application? NSApplication dot main dot. Nope. That's not it. NSApplication dot there is NS application. Shared application. There it is. Main window. Ta-da. That's what we're looking for. Can't remember the syntax. With main parent or window, so we're going to say main window, which will give back a edit window. And then we need dot execute async. Now let's clean that up so it looks nice. So interactive with parent activity. So let's do this. So this would be in the wait. There we go. Interesting. So this may actually work. So with parent activity or window, so we're going to use main window here, execute. We'll try that. And if that fails, how do we enable P2 logging, by the way? Ooh, MSAL, enable .NET P2 logging. There we go. Okay, write your own logic callback. Yeah, we definitely want that. Let's make a string builder and do that. So let's do a private we're going to make a string builder and we're going to throw all the logs in this thing and we can dump it out. Let's just make it public. I'm going to make that, and then when we do this, we'll say logs equals new string builder for lack of entertainment here. And then, okay, so what we're going to do now is make a method that handles this. So we're going to say void logging. We're going to say log level string message, and then we need a bool contains PI. Oh, that looks like Pretzel crashed again. That's the app I use for playing background music, which makes this less boring. Private. Okay, that looks good. And then what we're just going to do is say logging dot append. Wait, no logs. Append. We're going to say this will be $. Oh, we're going to say level. And then we're going to say message. Let's do a date time on this too. Time. No. MSAL log level is that level, and then we'll say contains PII based on their example. Which, I mean, I don't. Do I really care if it contains? I guess I do care if it contains it or not. And then we would just send it with this. So let's see here. So actually, let's have this return a tuple. We'll have it return both the authentication result and the log file. And we're going to then say at the end, return new tuple. And it's going to be result and logs. Right. Do I have that backwards order? What are we returning? We're returning authentication. Return new tuple. Oh. Authentication result. String. Syntax is wrong. Then I pass into the constructor what the hell I'm sending in. There we go. To string. Because it's a string builder. Alright. We'll use a tuple to send back both the authentication results and the logs. And that way we can update the UI and what's going on with what's happening here. So that's pretty good. So then when we make this, though, we have to also add it in that when we're making this thing, we need the with logging. So we're going to say with logging, with debug callback. And we're going to say that this is called logging. All right. And we're going to say log level verbose, because that's what we like to do. And what else is it missing? True. True. They're saying to... They're saying that have the syntax where you tell it what's going on. Oh, it's with logging. There we go. I wonder if that'd be more readable if we did this. I think so. There we go. That reads a lot better. Hey, there we go. All right. We're going to create it with authority, with logging, with redirect, and then build. And then our logging will basically call our logging method. We're going to do PI logging turned on. So we're going to all the kind of juicy information about the logs. We're going to also do platform logging, so we'll know what's going on from a Mac standpoint. I know that the P2 logging is very, very detailed. there's always a argument that it may leak security information. And you can see without the P2 logging, you're not going to get as much security information in there. So I think it's okay. Just looking here, see if there's anything else we care about logging. I think we're good. All right. That's going to give us our logging. So we're then going to check. So we've got our code here. Go get token. We're going to count first. Then we go get all the accounts available. We go get the account, the first account we can find. Then we go get a token. If we can't get a token silently, which we're doing here, then we're going to go in, check what's going on. If we get a UI exception, we're going to go through and try to get a token interactively using our window and then catch an exception there. If we can't do it there, there's nothing we could do. So this will be the end of the try here, which is where they are filling out from the UI, right? So at that point in time, then they say if auth result. So if result is not equal to null, then we know we got a token, right? And so we're rocking and rolling. Well, what's this? Get content. Oh, this is where she goes and gets the graph stuff. Yeah, we don't care about that. We don't need to go get token content. So if results equals null, so what this is saying that is if they fill out this just logs them out. We don't care about that. Okay, that's it. There's nothing else to this. I think we have an authentication service we could try here. Not sure what's going to happen, but let's try it. How long have we been streaming here? What's our timer say? Holy cats, 2 hours. Maybe we should close this out for the night and then try authentication in the morning. That sounds like a good idea. I didn't realize it's 1 o'clock in the morning here. All right, I'm going to close down for the night. Doesn't look like anybody came on anyways, but hey, these are archived. So if you're watching on archive, I do appreciate for you watching. So we've got some stuff going on here in our Mac app. We're working on getting MSAL working. And we've taken some great examples from our friends at Microsoft. And this is from Jean-Luc and Jenny. And they are both pretty great people at Microsoft that work on the identity team. So I've met both of them. And so I appreciate you watching. And I'll see you in the next video.